Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issues surrounding Britt Westbourne's mysterious disappearance and the devastating impact it will have on Jason Morgan's world. The latest developments in Port Charles reveal a dangerous web of manipulation threats and impossible choices that will test the limits of both Britt's courage and Jason's determination to protect the people he cares about. The threat behind Britt's sudden withdrawal, Britt Westbourne finds herself trapped in an impossible situation orchestrated by none other than WSB Director Ross Cullum, a man whose reputation for ruthless tactics precedes him throughout the intelligence community. Cullum has proven himself to be far more than just another bureaucratic authority figure. He's a calculating strategist who knows exactly which pressure points to exploit to get what he wants. In Britt's case, he's discovered the perfect leverage: her deteriorating health condition and her desperate need for specialized medication that only he can provide access to through his WSB connections. The medication in question isn't something Britt can simply purchase at any pharmacy or obtain through conventional medical channels. Her rare condition requires cutting-edge pharmaceutical treatments that are still in clinical trials or restricted to specific research facilities under WSB oversight. Cullum has positioned himself as the gatekeeper to Britt's survival, making it crystal clear that her continued access to these life-saving treatments depends entirely on her willingness to comply with his increasingly demanding requests. This puts Britt in a position where defying Cullum doesn't just mean professional consequences, it could quite literally be a death sentence. What makes Cullum even more dangerous is his complete lack of moral boundaries when it comes to eliminating obstacles. He's made veiled threats about Jason Morgan that Britt takes with deadly seriousness. Having seen firsthand how Cullum operates within the shadowy world of international intelligence, Cullum has essentially communicated to Britt that unless she severs all romantic ties with Jason and maintains a safe distance, he won't hesitate to arrange for Jason's permanent removal from the equation. For a man with Cullum's resources and connections, making someone like Jason disappear would be disturbingly simple. Despite Jason's own formidable skills and street smarts, the painful decision to push Jason away Britt has finally allowed herself to envision a future where she could experience genuine happiness with Jason, someone who understands her complicated history and accepts her despite all her flaws and past mistakes. The chemistry between them has been undeniable since their initial encounters, and their recent first date went better than Britt could have hoped. She's found herself daydreaming about possibilities she never thought she'd have: normalcy, companionship, perhaps even love in its truest form. Jason represents something Britt has rarely experienced: unconditional acceptance and the promise of standing by her side through whatever challenges lie ahead. However, Cullum's threats have shattered these fragile hopes, forcing Britt to confront the harsh reality that pursuing a relationship with Jason could cost him everything, including his life. The weight of this knowledge sits heavily on Britt's shoulders as she wrestles with what to do next. She knows that Jason has faced countless enemies and survived situations that would have killed lesser men, but Cullum represents a different kind of threat, one that comes from within the establishment, with the full backing of government resources and plausible deniability. When Britt makes the agonizing decision to cancel their second date, she does so with a heavy heart and trembling hands. The conversation will leave Jason completely blindsided, as just hours earlier everything seemed to be progressing naturally between them. Britt will struggle to maintain her composure as she delivers the devastating news that they can't continue seeing each other, that whatever was developing between them needs to end immediately and permanently. She'll attempt to make her rejection sound final and absolute, hoping that Jason will simply accept her decision and move on with his life, even though she knows him well enough to suspect he won't. Signs that something is seriously wrong. Jason Morgan didn't survive decades in the dangerous world of organized crime and covert operations by being oblivious to deception. He's developed finely tuned instincts that alert him when people aren't being truthful. And despite Britt's best efforts to appear resolute in her decision, Jason will notice the subtle signs that something is deeply wrong. Her voice might crack at crucial moments, her eyes might betray the pain she's trying to hide, or her body language might contradict the harsh words coming out of her mouth. Jason knows Britt well enough by now to recognize when she's putting on a performance, and this will definitely register as one of those times. There's also the very real possibility that Britt won't even have the strength to face Jason directly with her rejection. Instead, she might choose the coward's way out, disappearing without warning and leaving behind only a hastily written note filled with vague explanations and weak excuses. This approach would be easier for Britt emotionally, allowing her to avoid seeing the hurt and confusion in Jason's eyes when she pushes him away. The note might contain carefully crafted lies about needing space, about realizing they're too different, or about pursuing career opportunities that require her full attention and commitment. Cullum has already laid out the timeline for Britt's next assignment, expecting her to relocate immediately to Windermere, where she'll be completely isolated from her normal life in Port Charles. The remote location serves multiple purposes for Cullum. It provides the privacy needed for whatever secretive project he's forcing Britt to work on, and it effectively removes her from Jason's orbit, eliminating the romantic complications that threaten Cullum's carefully constructed plans. Britt has been given a strict 3-month deadline to get this mysterious project operational, adding even more pressure to an already impossible situation. Jason's determination to find the truth. Anyone who knows Jason Morgan understands that he's not the type of person to simply accept defeat and walk away when someone he cares about suddenly disappears under suspicious circumstances. His history speaks volumes about his unwavering loyalty and his refusal to abandon people who matter to him, regardless of how dangerous the situation might become. Jason has repeatedly put his own life on the line to rescue those in need, and he's certainly not going to make an exception for Britt, especially given their growing emotional connection and the obvious red flags surrounding her sudden withdrawal. Port Charles residents haven't forgotten the dramatic events at the Five Poppies Resort, where Jason tracked down Britt and orchestrated her rescue from a perilous situation. That incident demonstrated Jason's resourcefulness, determination, and willingness to travel halfway around the world if necessary to help someone who needs him. The same qualities that made him such an effective enforcer for Sunny Corinthos will now be directed toward uncovering the truth about what's really happening with Britt and why she's been forced to cut him out of her life so abruptly. Jason's investigative instincts will kick into high gear as he begins piecing together the puzzle of Britt's disappearance. He'll start asking questions, following up on leads, and using his extensive network of contacts to gather information. Every inconsistency in Britt's story will become a thread for Jason to pull. Every evasive answer a clue that something sinister is at play behind the scenes. Cullum's miscalculation. WSB Director Ross Cullum may believe he's cleverly manipulated the situation to his advantage, but he's severely underestimated the hornet's nest he's stirring up by threatening someone Jason cares about. Cullum is accustomed to operating within the bureaucratic world of international intelligence, where threats and leverage are currency and most people eventually fold under sufficient pressure. What Cullum has failed to appreciate is that Jason Morgan operates by an entirely different set of rules that involve fierce loyalty, relentless pursuit of enemies, and a complete disregard for institutional authority when it conflicts with his personal code of honor. By cornering Britt and forcing her to sever ties with Jason, Cullum has inadvertently painted a target on his own back. He's created a situation where Jason will inevitably start digging into who's pulling Britt's strings and why. Once Jason discovers the full scope of Cullum's threats and manipulation, the WSB director will find himself facing an adversary unlike any he's encountered in his career. Stone Cold Jason Morgan has a well-earned reputation for being absolutely relentless when pursuing someone who has harmed or threatened people under his protection. And Cullum is about to learn firsthand why that reputation is so feared throughout Port Charles's criminal underworld. Jason's investigation won't stop at exposing Cullum's threats against Britt. Once he starts pulling back the layers of this conspiracy, he's likely to uncover connections to other players, including the mysterious Jen Sidwell, whose own agenda appears to be intertwined with Cullum's secretive operations. The partnership between Cullum and Sidwell may have seemed solid when they were dealing with compliant subjects, but neither of them has factored in the chaos that Jason Morgan can unleash when he's motivated by protecting someone he cares about. Their carefully constructed plans could come crashing down around them as Jason systematically dismantles their operation piece by piece. A snowstorm changes everything. Mother Nature has a way of intervening at the most unexpected moments, and Port Charles is about to be hit with a massive blizzard that will trap people in close quarters and force confrontations might otherwise be avoided. Weather forecasters are predicting one of the worst winter storms in recent memory, with heavy snowfall, dangerous wind conditions. and zero visibility that will make travel impossible for days. The timing of this storm couldn't be more dramatic, as it will strand Jason and Britt together before she can complete her planned disappearing act. The forced proximity created by the blizzard will give Jason the opportunity he needs to break through Britt's carefully constructed walls and get to the truth about what's really happening. When two people are stuck together with nowhere to go and no way to avoid each other, honest conversations tend to happen whether either party is ready for them or not. Britt will find it increasingly difficult to maintain her facade of not caring about Jason when they're sharing the same confined space. Watching the snow pile up outside and facing the reality that they might be stranded together for an extended period. This intimate setting will provide the perfect backdrop for Britt and Jason to reconnect on a deeper level, away from Cullum's watchful eyes and the pressures of their normal lives in Port Charles. The blizzard creates a bubble of isolation where they can speak freely, share their genuine feelings, and perhaps find a way forward despite the threats looming over them. It's during these snowbound hours that Britt may finally find the courage to confide in Jason about Cullum's threats, trusting that together they might be able to find a solution that protects both of them while allowing their relationship to continue. Developing mysterious updates and future complications. As the storyline continues to unfold, Jason will receive some puzzling information about Britt that doesn't quite add up with what he already knows. These cryptic updates could come from various sources. Perhaps Anna Devane shares intel from her own WSB connections. Or maybe Spinelli uncovers digital breadcrumbs that point towards something bigger happening behind the scenes. Whatever form these updates take, they'll add another layer of complexity to an already convoluted situation, raising more questions than they answer. The information Jason receives might hint at the true nature of the project Cullum is forcing Britt to work on at Windermere. Or it could reveal connections between Cullum, Sidwell, and other powerful figures operating in the shadows. Each new piece of information will bring Jason closer to understanding the full scope of the conspiracy, but it will also make him realize just how dangerous the forces aligned against Britt truly are. This knowledge will only strengthen Jason's resolve to liberate her from Cullum's control, regardless of the personal risks involved. Fans should prepare themselves for an emotional roller coaster as this storyline develops over the coming weeks. The combination of romantic tension, genuine danger, forced separation, and unexpected reunions will keep viewers on the edge of their seats, wondering whether Britt and Jason can overcome the obstacles Cullum has placed in their path. The chemistry between these two characters continues to generate significant buzz among General Hospital fans, and the show's writers seem committed to exploring this relationship despite or perhaps because of the numerous complications involved